history of America's recessions can be found at the website of the National Bureau of Economic Research. What that record shows is that this last recession started in December of 2007. So when President Obama entered office, the country was indeed in recession, as he never grows tired of telling us. But he was not the only president to face that challenge. There have been 12 recessions since World War II. President Obama's responsibility, like every one of those past presidents, was to manage a timely, robust recovery to get America back on track again. That recovery is not to be measured from the worst of the recessions today, because of course the economy is better off today than it was at the worst of the recession. His recovery is to be measured by comparison to previous recoveries throughout U.S. history. How does his recovery compare to those prior recoveries? Before this last recession, since the Great Depression, recessions in America have lasted an average of 10 months, with the longest previously lasting 16 months. But today we are 52 months after the recession started. President Obama cannot say that his recovery is so bad because the recession was so deep. The American historical record is that the worse the recession, the stronger the recovery. Based on that historical record, we should be in the third year of an economic recovery boom right now. But that has not happened. That is what happened under President Reagan, which was the last time we recovered from a recession of similar magnitude. In the first 2.5 years of the Reagan recovery, the American economy created 8 million new jobs. The unemployment rate fell by 3.6 percentage points. Real wages and incomes were jumping. For the first time in 4 years, poverty began a continuous long-term decline, leading to economic prosperity for years to come. While Obama crows about 227,000 jobs created last month, Reagan's recovery created 1.1 million jobs in 1 month alone in September 1983. In the second year of the Reagan recovery, real economic growth boomed by 6.8%, the highest in 50 years. In contrast, under President Obama, last year the American economy limped along with real economic growth at a paltry 1.7%. Unemployment actually rose for 18 months after June 2009, when the recession supposedly ended. Even today, 51 months after the recession started, the U6 unemployment rate, counting the unemployed, underemployed, and discouraged workers, is still nearly 15%. And that doesn't include all the workers who have fled the workforce under Obama's economic oppression, and so are not counted as unemployed. Under Obama's supposed recovery, the number of working-age Americans not in the labor force rose by over 7 million, which is unprecedented for any prior recovery in American history. Today, over 4 years since the recession started, there are still almost 24 million Americans unemployed or underemployed. That includes a record 5.6 million who are long-term unemployed for more than 6 months. African Americans have suffered an outright depression under Obama. 51 months after the recession started, unemployment is still over 14%, and black teenage unemployment is nearly 35%. Hispanics have also suffered a depression under Obama, with double-digit unemployment persistent at 11%, and over 1/4 of Hispanic youths remaining unemployed today. The Census Bureau reported last September that more Americans are in poverty today under Obama's supposed recovery than at any time in the entire 51-year history of census tracking poverty. That is why Americans dependent on food stamps are at an all-time high as well. The Census Bureau also reported last September that under this supposed recovery, real wages and incomes have fallen so steadily under Obama that they have fallen all the way back to 1996 levels. So here's Obama's record. With his throwback, old-fashioned 1970s Keynesian economics, he has put America through the worst recovery from a recession since the Great Depression. The American people are much poorer now because of that, and will remain poor, falling farther and farther behind until we change course and restore traditional American prosperity. To restore the American dream, we will need a drastic change in leadership this fall. If we fail to incite change in leadership, the worst is yet to come. Most people do not know that already enacted in current law for 2013 are increases in the top tax rates of virtually every major federal tax. That is because the tax increases of Obamacare become effective next year and the Bush tax cuts expire, which Obama has refused to renew for the nation's small businesses, job creators, and investors. So the top two income tax rates will jump nearly 20%, the capital gains tax rate will soar by nearly 60%, the tax on corporate dividends will nearly triple, the death tax rate will increase by nearly 60%, and the Medicare payroll tax will leap by 62% for these disfavored taxpayers. This is all on top of the U.S. corporate income tax rate, which is now the highest in the industrialized world. The federal rate is 35%, with state corporate rates taking it close to 40% on average. But even communist China has a 25% rate. The average rate in the social welfare states of the European Union is even less than that. Formerly Socialist Canada, which has been booming since President Obama was elected, now has a 15% corporate rate. These U.S. corporate tax rates leave American companies uncompetitive in the global economy. Yet under President Obama, there is no relief in sight. Instead, he has spent the past year barnstorming the country, calling for still further tax increases on American businesses, large and small, investors, and job creators. Combine this with the exploding regulatory costs Obama is imposing and the Fed pumping away at reviving inflation, and the result will be one big whopping double-dip recession next year in 2013, unless these policies are reversed, which will require, again, changing leadership in Washington. The candidate who has the best economic recovery plan to accomplish, restore American prosperity and the American dream is Newt Gingrich.